This is Dr. S. the Legend. He's back. Today's conversation is going to concern our podcasters who recently abandoned President Trump over the war in Iran. Are they fraudsters? Certain podcasters like Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Joe Rogan have bailed on any support for Trump's war in Iran. Why? What's their arguments and reasons? Now, to be honest with you, these four individuals, sometimes in the past they were supporting Donald Trump. Sometimes they didn't support him. Then they did support him, and now they're not supporting them. Now, you got to be the judge. If any of their anti-war opinions hold up to the facts, never let the facts get in the way of your opinions. Let me repeat that so everyone understands what I'm saying. Never let the facts get in the way of your opinions. So, moving on. Let me talk about podcasters. And I know something about how the system works from the inside. I like to study these things. First of all, podcasters have many people on their staffs. They have to be paid. And who writes the material? Do the podcasters write it or their staff write it? Or are they just reading off a teleprompter? Who knows? I don't know. And they need to be paid. And they need to be paid money. Always. And a lot of money. And they need viewers and they need clicks. And this costs money. And they can't be boring. And they need sponsors because that's how they get money. And if they're not very good, then they don't get any money and they don't get any sponsors. So they have big egos. They tend to be doom and gloom, but always right. If clicks go down, then they move on to another subject. Always follow the money. Now, if things conclude in a positive sense for Donald Trump on the war in Iran, the negative podcasters, I guarantee you they will be silent on the subject. And they're going to move on to like nothing happened and ignore it. Take it to the bank. Remember, it's about clicks and money. So what are the podcasters' arguments against the war? Two basic arguments. No imminent nuclear threat to the United States. And the war is about Israel's needs, not the United States. They're saying this is Israel's war, not our war. And these two things are intertwined. So let's talk about the facts and maybe we'll dispute some of these negative opinions. First of all, no one likes wars. It's easy to say. It's easy to say, I'm anti-war. It's very easy to say. Except maybe the Spanish-American War and the Mexican-American War, we did very well. We acquired a lot of territory. So as far as the United States goes, these were pretty good wars. We also got a very good result recently with our interlude in Venezuela. Acquired a lot of oil. So if that was a war, a very, very short one, it had a positive result. If you don't know your history, then you're going to repeat it. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know their history. 7 presidents have tried to deal with Iran and they have failed miserably. Iran is the universal supporter of modern terrorism. Supported Hamas and funded them. Drew up their plans for the attack on Israel. Hezbollah and in Lebanon, the same thing. Supported Assad in Syria during the civil war in Syria where there was 500,000 people dead. Chemical weapons were used. Maybe the Iranians supplied them. They've supported the Houthis in Yemen who have attacked ships in the Red Sea. By the way, if you remember the history, because I remember, they took over our embassy in Tehran on November 4th, 1979. This was an act of war. And then last month, when there were demonstrations against the regime, they killed 30 to 40,000 demonstrators, mowed them down in the streets. They are a homicidal, suicidal death cult. They don't care if they die, because then there'll be martyrs in their religion. Keep that in mind. So let's talk briefly about Israel. We had something called the 9/11 attack in 2001. I'll talk a little bit about that later. This was an attack on the United States. It was not an attack on Israel. It was a terrorist attack. 18 of the 19 terrorists came from Saudi Arabia. The designer of the attack, Osama bin Laden, their leader, was a member of the Saudi family. Now, they could have easily attacked Israel. It's right next to Saudi Arabia. But they attacked the United States and not Israel. And there's been various explanations for this, always after the fact. However, we were the target. It happened, not Israel. Don't forget, 3,000 Americans died in 9/11, 2001, the largest attack since Pearl Harbor. An argument made by the podcasters regarding Israel. Somehow they tricked Trump. They tricked Hegseth. They tricked Rubio, Vance, the Joint Chiefs, the Pentagon. Now, if you're a conspiracy person, then you're going to believe all this nonsense. You know, blame the Jews. Can't trust them. Tricky people. However, that's not what happened. Now, Israel has major assets on the ground in Iran. I think 50% of the people in Iran are probably spying for Israel to get rid of the regime. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Most of the Iranians want the regime gone. And then you have this ongoing hostility from Iran against Israel and the United States. It makes no rational sense. As far as they're concerned, Israel is the little Satan and the United States is the big Satan. I can't explain this. There's no rational reason for it, other than the fact these people are nuts. Let me go on to the argument. Iran is not a nuclear threat to the United States. It's not imminent. I love that term, not imminent. About 6 weeks ago, they told our negotiators they could build, within several weeks, 11 nuclear weapons. Now, do we believe them or not? I might believe them. I'd rather play safe. Critics say it's not an imminent, they could not launch an imminent attack because they can't put the nuclear weapons, they don't have long-range missiles to put the nuclear weapons on, like the rest of the countries have. The critics are wrong. Now, they may not be able to put the weapons on intercontinental ballistic missiles. By the way, how do the podcasters know what's imminent? Are they experts? What's the definition of imminent? A week? A month? A second? They're saying Iran is not an imminent threat, a nuclear threat to the United States. Really? They just said they can have, within weeks, 11 nuclear weapons. I love this term, imminent. They keep repeating it. It's not imminent. It's not imminent. Let's go back in history a little. Remember, if you don't know your history, you're going to repeat it. When did the attack on 9/11/2001 become imminent? Well, the first plane, the suicide plane at the North Tower, 8:46. Was that the time of imminent? Or was 8:45 the time of imminent? How about when the South Tower was hit at 9:03? Was that imminent? How about when the Pentagon was hit at 9:37? Was that imminent? How about when the fourth plane was crashed in Shanksville, Pennsylvania at 10:02? Was that imminent? The hell do they mean by imminent? When does it occur? Maybe there was no imminent. Instantaneous imminent. By the way, Bin Laden, these were 4 planes, terrorist suicidal planes. Bin Laden wanted 16 planes to attack the United States. In 9/11, we never saw it coming. Imminent was when the plane struck. That was imminent. Again, didn't see it coming. How about Pearl Harbor attack on December 7, 1941 by Japan? When did that become imminent? Probably the moment the attack began. We never saw it coming. That's why they called it back in history a sneak attack. How about when Japan started to use kamikaze planes to attack our ships during World War II? When did that become imminent? It became imminent the moment those planes, they were suicide planes, crashed into our ships. We never saw it coming. The suicide planes, there were thousands of them. And how could they possibly do this? Because they wanted to die for the emperor. Just as like the Iranians want to die and become martyrs. The kamikazes sunk 40 United States ships, killed 5,000 sailors, wounded another 5,000, and more than 100 ships were damaged. A lot of people died. We didn't see it coming. When did imminent start? I'm being sarcastic. When is a nuclear attack by Iran against the United States? When does it become imminent? And I'm going to tell you now, right this minute, it's imminent. It's imminent because they said they could build 11 nuclear weapons. And maybe they still can today. Certainly they said it a couple weeks ago. And what kind of weapons are they? Does anybody know? Are they fission bombs? Fusion bombs? Meaning atomic bombs or hydrogen bombs? Thermonuclear? How about the size of the bomb? Anywhere from 10 kilotons to in the megaton range. By the way, Hiroshima was 30 kilotons. If one of these things go off, even a low yield weapon, it could kill hundreds of thousands. And the high yield, the megaton, kill millions of people. It's imminent now because they're homicidal, suicidal, death cult. They want to be martyrs. So they can't launch, supposedly, and put them on missiles to reach the continental United States. But they could do other things. Scenario number 1. They could put them on disguised freighter ships. Pass them into the Indian Ocean, into the Pacific. Head to Okinawa, where we have 100,000 U.S. troops and dependents and citizens. Or Guam, a U.S. territory. Or Hawaii. Or ports on mainland. Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego. Put them on 11 ships. How do we detect them? How do we stop them? Do we have a plan for this? When does it become imminent? We only need one bomb to get through. What are we supposed to do? Search every ship in the Pacific Ocean when they've got, who knows, 10,000 ships floating there? Suppose the bomb goes off. Remember, they'll probably have no shortage of people that want to be on the crews of these ships to become martyrs. Suppose a bomb goes off. What do? Who do we retaliate against? How do we know it's from Iran? Scenario number 2. They can put bombs on passenger planes. 11 bombs, 11 planes. Remember, in 9/11, there were only 4 planes, 4 terrorist attack planes. And we didn't find out it was imminent until they crashed into our the World Trade Center. Now, up until recently, Iran had Airbus 300, capable of going 500 to 600 miles per hour, long range. They'll find no shortage of pilots because they'll be martyrs. Again, targets, possible targets. Okinawa again, Guam, even Hawaii. How do we identify or stop these? How did we make out of 9/11? Did we stop any of the planes? Well, the 4th plane, allegedly the passengers took down, but seriously, you only need 1 plane to get through. We will not have much time to react once these planes are in the air. Remember, the media, podcasters, they're doom and gloom on war. Plus, Trump is always wrong until he isn't. We had no time to react from 9/11, Pearl Harbor, to kamikazes. Imminence was the moment there was death and destruction. What is the alternative to do nothing? Well, life is full of choices. We can do nothing, or we can do something. Now, today is similar, at least as far as many people are concerned, similar to the days before World War II. Before World War II, we had an organization called America First. And I think a lot of people today also say, America First, Iran is not our problem. So when World War II started, on September 1st, 1939, when Germany attacked Poland, there was a major movement, stay out of the war. And we stayed out of the war, and many people didn't want to get involved in a war in Europe. And then what happened? On December 7th, 1941, Japan attacked the United States in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. Even then, members of the America First group did not want to go to war against Germany. So how did we go to war against Germany? Most people don't know this. They don't know their history. Out of the blue, Adolf Hitler, on his own, declared war on the United States on December 11th, 1941. No rational reason. The reason he gave was, he said the United States was decadent and controlled by Jews. That was his conclusion. Now, we have a choice now. We can stop Iran's nuclear ambitions, or we can remain complacent, like before World War II, before the attack on Pearl Harbor, before 9/11. Again, didn't see that coming. Now, you got to decide if these podcasters or others that have wide audiences in the media, whether they are frauds by jumping off the bandwagon and getting clicks and underestimating that Iran is a homicidal, suicidal death cult and only wants martyrs, just like the kamikazes only wanted to die for the emperor. You have to remember, all wars are different. And evil exists in the world. And the regime in Iran is an evil regime. If they get a nuclear device, or as they say, 11, they're going to find a way to use it against us. I don't think they'll use it against Israel. They want to hit big Satan, because we have a lot of targets throughout the world. And they can either do it by planes or ships or any means necessary. And they only have to get one bomb through. And then what do? If they do that, the world changes. Okay. Now, in conclusion, I want to reiterate who I am. I am Dr. S, the legend. Here we go. Conversations with Dr. S, the legend. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble and other sites. In addition, again, it's Conversations with Dr. S, the legend. And you can reach me on my email. This is my email. One word, Dr. S, the legend at gmail.com. Also, I might add, for the people that are watching me, they can see that there are some beautiful paintings behind me. Western paintings and rodeo paintings, cowboy paintings, and they can be viewed at this particular website for everyone. And this is pbensignor.com, BENSIGNOR. And some of the paintings can also be viewed at a magazine, issue 220, put it up here, Western Art. Paintings are viewed in this magazine. So you can pay attention to that. So this is Dr. S, the legend, signing off.